Welcome to the Hive from Pollen VC, your destination for the latest thinking about mobile gaming, apps, and what you need to scale your business. And introducing Peggy Ann Sauls, founder of Mobile Groove, mobile analyst, tech consultant, and your host for today's show.
Thank you, Ricky, and thank you for being here. We are going to look at the question, why self-publish? How do you know when you're doing it right? This is the topic. This is the place to ask the tough questions because this is the Hive. I'm your host, Peggy Ann Saltz, and my guest today is a serial entrepreneur and an active member of the Austrian startup scene. He has been at the leading edge, the cutting edge of online marketing, and after seeing the explosion in the app economy, he decided to combine his extensive e-commerce and digital marketing knowledge to help app marketers optimize their apps and drive installs and revenues. And we are glad he has done that because what he has created is AppRadar, where he combines his passion for marketing, building AI-powered technology and personalized services, and bringing that all together with data to help app businesses, app publishers accelerate their growth. Thomas Kriebernegg, Managing Director, co-founder at AppRadar. Welcome to the Hive.
Thank you very much, Peggy. Glad to be here.
Now, at the top, I talked about your background. You also have a couple of awards, a couple of award nominations. Things are hopping at AppRadar as long as we're on that topic. It's really buzzing, I would say, with activity because you also have funding. So tell us a little bit more about AppRadar and where you are right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so kind of at AppRadar, we started back then in my days when I was working as a consultant in the field of app marketing. I was helping app businesses as well as mobile game businesses with their initial starting problems. What we're doing is, on the one hand side, we are developing a software solution which started off as an app store optimization tool, but is now moving more and more into the direction of becoming a full-fledged app marketing tool. And on the other hand side, what we're doing is we're offering services where we take our clients by the hand and we help them really hands-on optimizing their apps with the goal of getting more downloads as well as achieving more revenue at the end of the day. And yeah, I would say it has been quite a journey the last 6 years. And right at the moment, the team is around 60 people. We have 2 offices. One of the offices is in Graz and the other one is in Vienna. And we're working also together with a lot of freelancers all around the globe.
And also some global names. Tell us a little bit about your customers, those brands and publishers you've been working with.
Yeah, so on the mobile gaming side, I'm very happy that we have been working together with really cool and well-known brands like, for example, Rovio or Miniclip, or also the guys of Colibri Games. As well as on the app side, we're also working together with sounding names like Runtastic, which is now a part of Adidas, or on the other hand side, also Mercedes-Benz. So there, I would say we're having really some cool names and also awesome people that we're working together with. But also with smaller startups as well as indie developers, we're also very keen and hands-on and also help them, obviously, with their growth challenges.
You've got great names, great companies, great players, but whether or not you're an indie developer, whether or not you self-publish, you still need a smart approach to UA. Start there. Tell me what you're doing or what you are pursuing, the smart approach to attract the best potential players to the game.
I think when we talk about the topic of publishing games, doesn't matter now if you self-publish them or if you're trying to find a publisher. The first step that really will save you a lot of pain afterwards is that you should do proper research. This is really very important. What I mean by that is, I think the easiest way how you can do proper research is open up the App Store on your smartphone. It doesn't matter if it's now an Android phone or if it's an Apple iPhone, for example. Go into the top charts, go into the category where you think that you want to create the game for. So might it be hyper casual, might it be a strategy game? Check out the corresponding category, and then simply what you should do is go through the apps and try to identify what is currently trending. Download the games and try to reverse a little bit how they are made up and what can also be a really big impact factor to their success.
So start with that research. Is it just that simple, or can you suggest a few tools or techniques? Because we know that there's a lot of different sort of data sources out there, whether you're reading a Sensor Tower report or checking out numbers in Data AI or Apptopia, they're always telling us about the top ranking apps. Is that the list, or is it really just go out there in the wild?
We also at AppRadar offer also solutions that come in a little bit the cheaper price tag compared with Data AI and Sensor Tower, for example. But at the end of the day, I think the overall topic is not that you should now create a master thesis out of what is happening out there in the market. I think it should be really kind of the topic to try to identify what is out there, what is currently going on. And if you're a game developer and if you have this kind of, I would say, gene to somehow decode stuff and to somehow reverse engineer stuff, I think it will be very easy for you to figure out within the App Store top charts. You can also scroll down, obviously, don't only look at the top apps, but go to position number 30 to 50, for example. There you can also find really good inspiration of uprising apps. But also on the other hand side, obviously, tools out there can also take you a little bit of this work and can also present you what are currently the most trending games within the App Store, which apps have been or games have been rising the most when you look at the top charts. So these are some kind of shortcuts that you can take. But at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to find out what is currently out there and what gets people's interest. And this should be, I think, your starting point for the first inspiration.
Makes a lot of sense. It's learn from the best. You see who's in the top ranking apps. You see who's in the charts. You choose the tool, but you also do your own research. Now, once you have figured out your game, there's a big question, even bigger now. Who should run UA? Now, you believe it's not always the UA team. What is that? Why is that?
Yeah, I would say from my experience, especially when we think of indie development studios, they start out as let it be a handful of friends that sit down together. Probably most of them have a technology background. They're very much interested in actually programming, in actually coding the game, in creating the game. But the thing is, if you have 5 developers sitting on one desk, the problem is you also need somebody who has this kind of market-driven approach to it as well. So what we very often recommend our customers that we're working together with, or also people that I know from the startup scene, is that within the founder team, ideally you have one person who kind of also can build up at least a little bit of passion for this topic as well, to really understand what is user acquisition, what can we do to acquire users to our game. I don't say that you have to become the super expert in it, especially not when you're just starting out and you're running some game contests or concepts and you want to see if they're working out or not. You do not have to be now a Facebook marketer with 10 years of experience of running ads on Facebook. By far not, no. But you should understand how you can set up different user acquisition campaigns, ideally on maybe 1 or 2 different ad platforms out there. And you should understand what is a campaign, how do you measure the success of a campaign, what can you fine tune, what can you tweak, and how do you at the end of the day find out if your campaigns are running well, or maybe your campaigns are running, super good, but the game itself is not good. But on the other hand, it could also be that you have an amazing game, but you're just not that good yet at running the UA campaigns. So therefore, I think it is a little bit a learning curve in the beginning, to be honest, yeah. But I think the work that you put in there will be really valuable throughout the complete life cycle of the game development studio.
Okay, Thomas, I think you're a little bit of an optimist, because a lot of people I know who love their game, the thought of marketing it is daunting, right? We have ATT. We have a year now since, identifiers disappeared or made it, let's just say, very, very difficult to target and retarget. So there's a lot to learn. Obviously, we can't tell people, oh, well, how do you get up that learning curve if you're going to take charge of your marketing? That would be a little bit much. But I would like to understand from you, when does a publisher need an agency? When is passion and interest in the game not enough to power the UA?
So I think the kind of when is this tipping point? Yeah, when should you go away from this thought? Okay, me as a founder, I need external help or I need help to somehow scale up UA. I think here the topic really comes already from the wording of scaling up UA, because I think setting up a campaign which you let run in maybe one or maybe two countries out there on Google Ads is really something that is not that complicated, and that also, really a founder with a little bit of passion can do. But when it comes to, I want to scale up my game, I see there is also momentum going on, and I want to roll this out now on a global level. I want to optimize it for different really cultures as well when you think of the target audiences. This is really the topic where agencies can come in with a lot of knowledge, who have seen all this, who have been going through this process, and who can really offer you there a lot of shortcuts, because obviously you can learn a lot when you get to the journey. I want to market my game on the complete planet. That is a really big, so to say, step that you want to make and also can make. And I think that's the really cool thing about it. But also, as mentioned, there are a lot of things that you need to learn. And when you can get external help that just helps you speeding up this learning curve, I think this will be very beneficial.
Is there a checklist, something I need to look for? I'm moving up that momentum. I see the momentum. I see the interest. I need an agency. It's not enough just to do some Facebook campaigns or even experiment in TikTok. Huge, huge channel. What do I know? What do I look for? Give me some ideas of that checklist.
Yeah, so I think when we talk about this, I think it is a bit also the tipping point from a soft launch to a full launch, so to say. That can also happen in the background. So therefore, I think one of the most important things, also obviously besides all those user acquisition KPIs, is really the topic also of your game KPIs. Because retention rate, we all know it. Yeah, we all hate churn. These are users that we acquire, and out of a sudden they stop loving our product that we have been developing. Yeah, so therefore a retention rate as the counter KPI to churn is really one of the most important ones when we think of game development. So this is really also this tipping point. Check out benchmarks you can find for different game genres out there on game analytics, for example. You can find really good benchmarks and can really identify, is this game that I'm currently working on also hitting internationally good KPIs, and is it also worth it to scale it up? Because I think that is also a very tough decision that founders also have to take from time to time. They have been working very long on a game, on a concept, they bring it to the stores, they are super happy, but then looking at the numbers and you see, okay, it's simply not working. Yeah? Maybe people don't get it, maybe it's too complicated, maybe it's just not that cool as you just thought of. And this is also the time when you need to say, okay, let's skip this one and let's focus on the next one, which is a really tough decision. But here, once again, game KPIs as benchmarks is a really good starting point. And once you have those KPIs in place, it is time to check out in more detail your KPIs around your user acquisition activities. And I think one of the things that you can also check out there very well is kind of the high level assumption that you see cost per install versus the lifetime value. So in other words, how much money do I spend for a new user versus how much money do I get in return from this user? It might be a bit hard in the beginning to really establish these numbers. I also know guys who have been working years on their games and still don't know exactly the lifetime value. Yeah, so this is a bit of a challenge to be honest, but nevertheless it should be also kind of a guidance. And when you come here in a positive kind of equation that you can see, okay, for every dollar that I'm spending, I'm getting $2 or maybe even $3 in return. This is really the sweet spot where you want to be, and this is the topic where you should try to scale up as fast and as good as possible. And this is in most cases also the time where it is really beneficial if you get external experts on board who can help you exactly doing that.
So I want to look at the actual UA strategy, understanding when you need to double down, when you need to invest in UA, and what the funding options are to keep that flywheel going. I'm looking at the industry, I see the benchmarks, I see my own results, I've thought through my KPIs. What tells me I have a commercial hit on my hands and I need to double down?
Yeah, I think it at the end of the day, it really comes down to this single kind of equation, yeah, that the lifetime value is higher than the cost per install. If you are at this stage, really, the only thing you want to do is you want to scale out as much as possible out of this, yeah, because then this really is, I would say, kind of the product market fit that you have been looking for. The thing is, I'm kind of already looking a little bit now into the future, yeah, I can already tell you there will be new challenges coming up. Because the thing is that this equation might work with your first ad network that you have been running your ads, or in one specific country, in one specific market, it has been performing very, very well. But then you think about also going into different markets. There you will see the first kind of challenges in also localizing your game, or at least localizing your ads, because all over the world, not everybody is speaking English, and also what we see is you get normally higher conversion rates if also the ad is in a local language. So for example, if you think of Germany as a market and also the ad is in German, then you will see also higher conversion rates compared to if the ad would be in English. So therefore, this is really where challenges come into play. And once more of these challenges come into play, it might also be that the CPI isn't higher than the lifetime value anymore. And then you really have to figure out, okay, why is this the case? And then you have to really dig a little bit deeper and try to identify how you can unlock the growth again. And this is kind of where I mentioned, where normally you need a lot of experience to really find out where is the bottleneck. Why can we not scale our app in the Australian market? Why doesn't it work in the Asian market? This is really where a lot of learnings need to be made, and ideally you get a partner who has already been going through a lot of them, who can just simply save you a lot of time as well as money and help you to unblock those blockades.
And we did talk about money UA funding options. I'd be interested in understanding what you're telling your clients or ways that you see of keeping the flywheel going for indies. Indies don't have unlimited time or resources.
From my experience, I would say there are kind of different models, which means that there are indie studios out there who have been working as a supplier for other gaming studios in the past and have been building up a little bit of money in the background that they can also use for their own games, for example. There are obviously is also the option that you're trying to find investors, which you're selling parts of your company. In return, you get money. Ideally, you also get a network and really good connections. So I think also this is very important to not just go for the money. But there are also obviously other options out there, also like Porn VC is offering, where they can give you the money upfront and you don't have to give away shares of your company, which at the end of the day, especially if you're really on a really cool thing and you're seeing that this is really a rocket that you're riding, I think this is also a very great option that you can take to really fuel the flywheel.
And talking about cool things, I mean, you as an agency, I've been watching you, Thomas, over the years. That's why I also have you here as my guest. And I know that you do some pretty cool things, also some unconventional things as well. Share with us maybe one cool, I wouldn't call it a hack, I'd call it a strategy, a tactic. One very cool one that stands out, or even an unconventional one that brought you some amazing results. So I'd like to get inside your head and understand the breadth of possibilities and the imagination you have.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say I'm probably not telling now my deepest
No,
secrets.
I didn't think you would. I didn't think you would, Thomas. But that's why I said cool or unconventional. I didn't say
Yeah,
like super
yeah.
successful, because that's a different one indeed.
Totally. No, I think maybe coming a little bit from the direction of really, I would consider it as a kind of a growth hack because at the end of the day, especially in the beginning, you want to find initiatives that don't take much time but have a really high potential upside. And I think one of the best things that you can do in this regard is when it comes to the topic of App Store optimization. So this is really that your app or how your game is presented within the app stores. And if you combine this now with translation and even better with localization, which means that you localize your App Store listing into different languages out there. And I'm not talking only about 2 or 3 or something like that. I'm really talking about translate your App Store description and your keywords, your title and all this stuff. And also the text that you have on your screenshots, translate it into 20 languages. put it into the App Store, and you will see that you will have a really great uprise in downloads overall on the one hand side. And on the other hand side, you will also identify really cool new markets that you probably have never thought of, where you can then really double down and also put your user acquisition activities more into specific markets, which were not on your radar before. And I think that this is really, especially for new games, a really cool hack with, you need a little bit of money investment, a little bit of time investment, but the upside is simply way much higher than what you invest there.
That's the long tail all over again.
Exactly.
It's a global app market, and you might not be thinking about the niches, but the niches pay. And look at the investment. I mean, I won't ask you really, but to translate and to do it well, not just Google Translate, it can't be that much.
Exactly. That's the point.
I always like to also look at where we are. What has happened to ad monetization? What has happened to monetization models at all? I'm talking to marketers who are like, no, we don't even want to think about ads and in-app purchases. We want to think of other hybrid models. There's a lot of experimentation going on out there. What are you seeing?
Also here, once again, seeing a lot of hybrid monetization models, where one thing that is working really outstanding good, I would even say, on the app side is really the topic of subscription-based apps, which has been rising since 3 years now. And I would say from our customers, from our most successful ones, normal apps, really most of them are having a subscription model in the background, because it really helps them scaling their company, scaling their revenues, and building up an amazing app and an amazing product with the money that they're generating through the subscriptions. And I think that this is a trend that is also popping more and more over to the gaming side as well, where you can also get a combination between a subscription-based model. On top of it with ads, I would say incentivized ads are still a thing. Click here and watch this video and you will get one extra try to master this lever or something like that. This is really something that seems to be working very well still. And I think will also in the future, because at the end of the day, it's very simple. And if implemented right, I think it's really a no-brainer for people to click on it, and then you can generate a little bit of revenue through ads. And the more people play your game, the more money you can obviously generate with this monetization tactic.
So if I'm a founder and I'm self-publishing, I mean, literally, how far can I go with my knowledge and my abilities? Because now this brings another factor into play. Before it was just, well, I can run UA campaigns, but now I'm running UA campaigns potentially to cast a net that's going to get me the subscribers as well.
I would say it doesn't change too much on the UA side, because at the end of the day, on the UA side, what you want to do is you want to identify players that are a good match for the game that you have been working on and the game that you have been releasing. So therefore, it doesn't change too much the mindset-wise on the UA side, because you still want to acquire players, yeah? I mean, obviously, if your game is more based on subscription, then I would say here kind of the logical statement would be it's more realistic that people starting from a specific age, also having more money, are more likely to go into a subscription with your game, compared if your target audience are, for example, 10-year-old girls, which might be a super low conversion rate in this regards. So therefore, I think obviously this is kind of a bit of a topic here that you have to think about. But as mentioned, on the UA side, generally speaking, it doesn't change too much. But it is then really about the onboarding within your game, so that people understand, okay, what is it? What do I get in return? And then it is about marketing it really well, that people kind of get this really this desire of thinking, okay, I need to do this because it really help enhancing my player, it will help enhancing my city, really depending on where your game kind of is based around. Yeah.
What's next for you at AppRadar, Thomas?
Yeah, actually, really cool stuff is going to happen in May at AppRadar. Yeah.
All right, like what?
We have been working on really cool new features for our product, really on an enhancement. I would say we're getting one step closer to really fulfilling the name of the company with AppRadar, because what we are building is a dashboard where, besides all the organic user acquisition topics that we already have implemented in, where you can find out for which keywords are you ranking, in which countries, what are your competitors doing out there, how are they growing, how are you growing, who is growing the fastest in the top charts, and all this stuff. We're also going to implement features that will help you analyzing your ad spend as well, besides all those organic user acquisition activities, so that you really get this all-in-one view of your app or your game business, and then you can really take informed decisions and identify how you can grow your game or your app even faster.
So I'm looking a little bit beyond the usual channels, and I'm looking at it more holistically when I look at my ad spend, and I might have brought in, maybe some influencer or something else I'm doing that just isn't in the normal formula, is what you're telling me.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because at the end of the day, everything is so much interconnected. Yeah, because also when you think of App Store optimization, yeah, it is a difference if you have a game that is getting 100 downloads a day in a specific market, or if your game is getting 10,000 downloads a day in a specific market. Because when you're only having a lot, or when you have really a lot of downloads, you can also rank for very competitive keywords like, I don't know, PvP game, for example, which is a super competitive keyword. But if you get the downloads, obviously you can also try to optimize your app for those keywords. And one of the things that we identified over the years working in this industry is really that it's not that easy to grasp how is this all kind of connected to each other, and what can you really do to make a holistic optimization of all your marketing activities out there. And this is the reason why we thought to ourselves, yeah, let's build something like that helps exactly answering these questions.
That is going to be something to watch, Thomas. I'm excited. I can imagine there's some IP, some AI, some automation going on in there as well, because it is a huge, huge task. Is this all your IP?
Yeah, we have been developing this internally, over the last couple of months, and will be also further developing it throughout this year. So it will start with small steps, but really amazing and cool stuff to come.
I can count on it. I knew it would happen if it's going to come from you. You talk about helping the industry. I want to ask you exactly that as a last question. To help the industry understand what's going on in the industry, understand gaming, ad monetization, what are the sources? What are your go-to sources? Blogs, podcasts, events? Where do you go?
Yeah, I would say kind of my main source probably is, luckily, it's getting up again. Yeah, it's the topic of going to events, because I think there you can really connect with the people working in the industry, and where you can really talk about leading topics, and maybe also some topics that nobody yet was writing a blog post around it. So I think that is a really good source, followed by Twitter, as well as followed by some blogs, as well as also checking out our AppRadar blog and trying to stay informed of what's going on there.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you for sharing a couple of really good hacks. I love that. There's an easy way to make some money, to drive some downloads, and also some deep thinking about a holistic approach. Thank you, Thomas, for joining me.
Thank you very much, too.
And of course, thank you for tuning in to The Hive. And for The Hive, I'm Peggy Ann Saltz, signing off.
Stay up to date with our show schedule by signing up for alerts at pollen.vc. That's where you'll also find our suite of financial modeling tools to help you plan and manage your business growth.